Oh man, this guy cooked. He came in with some fire stuff. Be free, basically. Don't let conspiracies rule your realm or your world, and start where your family is at. Bro, let them know one more time where they can find you.
You can find me at Joel Thomas Media, Linktree / Joel Thomas Media, and you can find me at all of the places there where I do films, where I drop music, and the podcast, which you can find on any platform, YouTube, Rumble, Spotify, Apple Podcast, or anywhere else.
Stay tuned to the end of the episode, guys. This one's a good one. Let them cook.
Kiss. Keep it simple, stupid.
I promise you, this is not a political podcast.
Jump from the deep end of the pool, set up the mood. Paranoi Radio, set up the mood. Paranoi Radio, set up the mood. Paranoi Radio, set up the mood. 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 Set up the mood.
Let's make deposits into the bank of knowledge. Welcome back to Paranoi Radio Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I am Trebles Garcia, your humble host. And I want to thank the Lord for allowing me to be here today, and I want to thank every single one of you for allowing me to enter your space. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I have an amazing episode lined up for all of you guys. As every episode, I always like to say that. But guys, no, this one's actually pretty cool, man. I'm not going to lie. Not that the other ones weren't pretty cool. It's just it's getting cooler and cooler. And by now, you guys are probably past the 400. If you made it this freaking far, like, subscribe, share, like, subscribe, share. I'm on YouTube, guys, so I have to say that. Anyway, sold out. Guys, make sure you check us out at ParanoiRadio.com and check out Flavors of the Forest. Season your meat before you eat. It's the best garlic dust in town, in all the towns. And also check out Cryptid Warfare Operations. Guys, these guys give you the tools. And I think you guys are connected with Drewski. Drewski is an amazing player in this stuff, man. He gives you the tools and the guidelines on how to fight cryptids in the backyard that are killing your chickens and abducting your cows. Yeah. He knows what's up, guys. Ladies and gentlemen, make sure you check out Drewski from Cryptid Warfare Operations and Cryptid Warfare Podcast. And check out Ale Christine Live, Parasitic Free. Guys, make kids healthy again. She gives you the guidelines and also the tools. Make sure you check her out. I don't get paid to say this. I'm supporting a fellow friend that's out there actually pushing out good content and also herbal medicine to keep your gut healthy. We call parasites demons out here, so we keep it paranoid. And if you guys know what we're talking about, you guys will subscribe, like, and share. Make sure you drop a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. That allows other people to enjoy the show as much as I enjoy making it. Let's jump in from the deep end of the pool and set the freaking mood. Please give a warm welcome to my next special guest, Joel from Free the Rabbits. Bro, what's up?
How you doing, man?
I'm doing good, bro. How you doing today?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good. Just trucking along like we all do.
Kicking ass.
Been busy. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yo, that's always a good place to be, bro. Sometimes you get burned out, but hey, man, you asked for this. Careful what you wish for. How you doing, bro? Look, hey, bro, I love your content. Love Merkle Media. You guys are great. You guys are doing amazing stuff. I envy you guys in the most passionate and white way, if that's even a thing. Can you envy someone in a very positive manner? I'm just saying, bro, because you guys are living the freaking dream. I wake up dreaming I'm gonna have my studio like with all the lighting and the freaking cameras and the special guests and looking at the camera and pointing the good stuff and everything that you guys do every single day and having all the operations you guys have, the hunting, the outdoors, the family, the God, all that stuff, man. It's good stuff. So congratulations on all your comings and all your projects, bro. Where can people find you?
Yeah, you can find me at Merkle.media if you want to get to the podcast. That'll get you directly to my podcast called Free the Rabbits Podcast. And I started this a year ago, and it's grown exponentially in just 1 year. And I'm really happy that it really connected with people, because when I started it, it was definitely different than what most people are doing in whatever you want to call this, truth or conspiratorial space. One of the things that I really wanted to do with my podcast was to look at it from an objective lens and not get so caught up in the fear mongering and get so caught up in, what people would attach themselves to because it's the wildest thing they've heard, right? And not to say that the weird and wild doesn't go on, because I completely believe in the strange world and the unseen realm and all of these things, right? But at the same time, I do know that I call them conspiratorial junkies, and they will look to mainline the craziest thing they can 5 times a week. And if they don't get it, then they're freaking out and they're jonesing for it. And in all honesty, that's an easy way to get manipulated. And one of the things that I wanted to do with this podcast, and I started it out with the very first episode called the Cass Sunstein Effect, and I really wanted to shed light on the fact that, yes, the government does not have our best interest. Yes, there are weird things that are going on in the world. Yes, all of these things can be true, but at the same time, everything's not fake, but everything's not real. And you have to look at it from an objective lens to be able to see through the mist. And also at the same time, and I know you're a God-fearing man, and one of the things that I teach on the show is our connectivity to God and our connectivity to others. Because what can easily happen, and I know you've seen it in this conspiratorial space, people become more and more disconnected from reality in the sense of they feel like, well, I can't connect to other people because they don't think like me, or they don't see these things that I see, right? I see it all the time in the church, right? I'm a Christian. So I see that there's a contingent of people who look at the scriptures a certain way that probably I would look at as well when you're talking about demonic entities and the Nephilim and some of these other what people would consider fantastical aspects of the Bible, which are absolutely true because they're in the Bible. But people will find a way to not talk to other people if they don't think like them on those things. And that's not what God or Yeshua came here to teach us to do in the first place. As a matter of fact, you know, you're speaking off air before we got on here about politics, right? And I don't get into politics too much on the show, but one of the things that I can look at when it comes to politics is it's very easy for us as a people to get really caught up in our particular side of it and not even try to look at the other side with empathy or compassion. And listen, I'm just as much as the next guy when it comes to like the woke left, but there's also a woke right as well. And the thing is, we don't look at it objectively anymore, and we just look to squabble and fight. And the internet or social media isn't reality. And what we typically see is the worst portions of whatever said side it is we're against, right? So I talk about this too on the show when it comes to AI algorithms and how they work. Well, what they do is they compartmentalize you and your social media in a echo chamber where you only see the type of things that you want to see. But adversely, it knows what you don't like to see, so it filters that stuff to you too, so then you get angry and you engage in it. But here's the best part. Those things are just a very small portion of what you're looking at. So it's like when we look at back to politics, right? You look at liberals or conservatives, right? I would typically say, being out in the real world, that most people typically find themselves more in a centralist viewpoint, right? Most people want to work together. Most people want things to work in a way that would be beneficial to society. That's most people. But what we see is the most bizarre behavior right in our faces 24/7. So then we get that picture of the other side. Oh, that's all of them. They're all blue hair trying to chop kids' genitals off, right? When in reality, it's not like that as a whole. And the other side of it too, where, you know, I've got friends that lay on both sides of it in the centralist view, right? I try to typically not cut people off because of politics, because I think that's absolutely stupid. Word. And I think that's exactly what they want us to do. They don't want us talking to each other. They don't want us working with each other. And I think that what I've learned is that by listening to everybody's viewpoint, I can find myself in where I need to be. And honestly, as a Christian, when I'm reading the Bible or when I'm communing with God, he's going to guide me in the path that I need to go anyway. So at that point, I'm just here to live life Christ-like. And if I live life Christ-like, then I'm going to connect to other people and have empathy and compassion, even for people that are doing some of the worst things on the planet. We weren't called to love people that are easy to love. We were called to love even the worst of the worst.
Boom. I told you we're going to be making deposits into the Bank of Null. That was a bomb. I like to say on the show most of the time, guys, I come to the I walked into the Bible looking for conspiracy theories and came out holding Jesus' hand, bro. I was, it's like a child. I'm like, dude, what the heck? And then, so I understand what you're saying. And sometimes, bro, we jump in to the deep end of the pool on the conspiracy topics and then forget what we're supposed to do at home. Guys, we can't change the federal government. And this comes from a Trumper. Guys, you can't change the federal government. You can't change the world. All you can do is, first of all, provide, profess, and what's the other one? Provide, profess, and the 3 Ps. Provide, profess, and oh man, that would have came out cool if I would have said the third one. Anyway, the point is, put Jesus first and control where your 2 feet lay. You can't make a difference in the world or at the civic center. You could only make the change at home. And people they disconnect themselves from that, bro, and they become a creep, kind of like that song. And you become a weirdo, kind of like that song. It's not necessarily always hopeless, guys. If you change your household, you change your life patterns, your negative habits, your lower frequency, you'll start disconnecting from the drug dealers, disconnecting from the alcohol, disconnecting from instead of spending time with your wife, you're gonna scream at her and cause problems in your house. And it comes from a place where I've actually dealt with it, guys. Things change. You become a little bit more conservative on your health, your body, and you start becoming a better person overall, a better father, a better entity, and a more impactful one. Because once you start speaking and spreading that truth, spreading a little Jesus, injecting Jesus in everything you do, I'm not saying, guys, don't become religious. Have an intimate relationship with the guy. And then people start listening to you, watching you grow. They get inspired, bro. And it's like a spiraling effect, like a snowball effect. You start impacting others. That is how you're going to change the world. One step at a time, one episode at a time, one day at a time. And thank you. Yeah, man, that was, I have to agree with everything you said. But I think a lot of the elements that are around us, bro, are here to keep us not only docile, but also consuming and divided.
Yeah, for sure. And I agree with the consumerism part of it for sure. And I think that I try to toe the line on my show, at least, and the people that I talk to, and try to help along the way, because one of the objectives of the show and one of the catalysts of me even starting the show was seeing people who are so lost down the rabbit hole that they can't get out. And that's the whole point of the show, Free the Rabbits. We're here to free these rabbits. I always end every show with touch grass and get your tail out the hole. Like literally go outside and touch grass, because the problem is people get so lost in these conspiracies where they become their whole lives. And here's the thing. When it becomes your whole identity, a theory or theories, what if that theory ends up being wrong? Well, you're going to do one of two things. You're either going to wake up and you're going to say, well, man, I was looking at this the wrong way. Maybe I need to look at things a little more objectively. Maybe I need to look a little deeper into something, right? That's only a small percentage of people that are going to do that. Most people are going to double down on whatever said theory that they believe in, and they're going to say, no, this is it, and I'm going to move the goalpost a million times more to make sure that that theory is still correct. And that's the problem. And a lot of these theories, Trebles, mean nothing when it comes to real life and us connecting with each other and working together, man. Fighting over the shape of the earth is not going to help anybody. It's not going to help. It doesn't do any good. I've heard every argument about why it matters, and literally it does not matter. I can walk outside right now. If the earth is the shape of a cube, it does not matter how I'm treating my neighbor right down the street. It does not matter who I'm connecting with at the grocery store who needs help, the little old lady that needs help. Those are the things that matter. Conspiracies can be fun. And in some senses, yes, it does keep us awake and aware to things that are moving and shaking around us, right? Especially when it affects our immediate lives and our families' lives. There are certain things that, look at 2020. I mean, those things affected us, and those were decisions that we all had to make for ourselves and our families. But when it comes to some of these other things that people just squabble and fight and go crazy over, man, listen, it doesn't matter if you believe that Tartaria existed 200 years ago and the timeline changed, whatever, right? It still has no bearing on what you're doing right now. What I teach on my show is how do these things become applicable to your daily life? How does it, right? I talk a lot about biblical history on the show, and I love the Bible, and I love all the fantastical things. But what I try to do is I try to bring those things back into how is this an allegory to how we should be living and treating other people? How should we be listening to God about what his plan is for our lives? We all got our own plans for our lives, but is that his plan for us? We got to ask that question. When are we willing to sacrifice what we want for what we are supposed to do walking the path of God? And I think we don't hear enough of that. And that's one of the things that I really am moving more and more towards as I continue with my show and I continue all the other things that I do with Merkle Media and all the other people I work with, is trying to find the mind of God and working towards that. And I understand everybody's not going to be a Christian or everybody's not going to think the same way. But what I want to do is show love and compassion to everybody because everyone deserves it. We're all created in the image of God. And once we realize that, I think we can move more towards a very harmonious way to live with each other. As much as there's disaster that's seemingly impending all around us, right? We don't need to let those things control us, Trebles. Like, I think that's the thing. All the people that want to sit there 24/7, dig out all these conspiracies, what happens when you find or uncover, and I put quotations on that, all those things? Where does that leave you?
Yo, shut the front door. Give me one moment here. Guys, I know I'm interrupting one of the best shows with the best content for the best listeners here today. It's probably the episode that's going to change your life. I understand, bro. All right. And I know how hard it can be to listen to commercials, but I need to emphasize on this. Guys, stop spending so much time on TikTok University. Go to the search bar and spend 5 seconds to search up Paranoi Radio on YouTube. Yes, we're on YouTube, bro. We have unedited shows, and I spend a lot of time uploading them for my cell phone, bro. Make sure you check us out. We're on YouTube, and do not forget to drop a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify because that allows other people like you to enjoy the show as much as I enjoy making it. Yo, now stay tuned. Enjoy the rest of the show.
Have you become better because of it, or has that just put you in a level of despair and a level of depression, which I see a ton of people in the conspiratorial truther space just living in depression and despair, and nothing's ever going to happen. It's the black pillars. They're just going to die. We're all going to die. And that's not what we were put on this earth to do. We weren't put here to die, man. We were put here to live. And I think once you realize that, we can really make a difference. Even if it's a very small difference, even if it's just helping 5 people, man, that's 5 people that didn't have help.
There's so much weight to what you said. Depression, bro. It's like almost they control it. Whenever you see anything blow up and go mainstream, and whenever people tell me, like Flash told me once on the show, tell me who I can't talk about and I'll tell you who's in charge. The moment anything goes mainstream, bro, it's like demise. Again, low frequency patterns, disconnecting you from time because, quite frankly, you're in a hamster wheel of just consumption and trying to provide for yourself and just survivability. And everything that you listen to and engage with is controlled, right? Like Stockholm Syndrome. It's so like in that cloud. And even for conspiracy theorists, then, okay, my favorite conspiracy of all time is Titanic. I started the show. I was a child. I was obsessed with Titanic. Dude, oh my God, when I learned about it. And I'm like, now what am I going to do with this information? How am I going to educate myself? Okay, well, I'm going to tell people about it. Not every single episode. Tell people about it, right? And then I'm going to start applying it to myself to avoid this little pattern. The more you learn, you don't only find out that the more you learn, the more you don't know, but you start cutting chains, cutting traumatic events for your children to become more like you. I don't want my 2 daughters to be like me. Hell no. I don't want my two daughters to live like me. Hell no, bro. The chain has to be cut. The generational trauma. The where's my parents? That pain, that sorrow, that loan. No, none of that. That's going to be revamped and reshaped by Jesus and then by my efforts here on earth in a physical realm. And this is where you apply it. And I don't want to sound preachy or anything, but I'm kind of glad we didn't go into a conspiracy topic today. Sometimes you need this refreshing episodes to remind you where your 2 feet lay, where you're at. Very interesting, bro. I'm kind of glad that we looked at on that stuff. But
Yeah, I
Go
think
ahead.
so too, man, for sure. And I would say that, and this will tie into, if people want to go listen to the very first episode I did called the Cass Sunstein Effect, and just briefly about what that effect did in 2009 and what's changed ever since then. Well, Cass Robert Sunstein, he was a legal scholar, and he worked for the Obama administration in 2009 to 2012. And during that time, he writes this paper. And he went to Harvard. He's a Harvard professor. He wrote this paper with Adrian Vermeule. And it's called Symposium on Conspiracy Theories, Causes, and Cures. And in this paper, and you can find it, PDF, and it's not a long read, but it's very impactful on what they were talking about. And the entire purpose of the paper was teaching the government how to infiltrate conspiratorial groups and then feed those groups with false information. And not
Shut
all,
the front door, bro.
and not all false, but just enough. So it all started with 9/11 and 9/11, and he talks about this at the very beginning of the paper, how that at the point in time when he wrote the paper in 2008, he and Adrian Vermeule, 50% of New Yorkers believed that our own government had something to do with 9/11. So that was a concern for him and obviously other people that work in the government because they want you to believe whatever that they say. So he maps out play by play in this paper how to infiltrate these different groups within the conspiratorial community. Now, we're talking about 2008, 2009. The internet and specifically social media is nothing like it is now. So what they did was he maps out a play-by-play, how to do it, how to infiltrate them using a term called cognitive infiltration. So they're going to tap into a purely cognitive portion of conspiracy theories that are circulating at the time and either grow them to box in said group of people so they can track them better, or they will infiltrate enough information into these theories to make it so muddled that you don't even know what the truth is. And in some cases, they'll take some of these conspiratorial theories and create them out of
And
thin
still
air.
track you.
Absolutely. And they talk about people that are isolated, how to isolate them more. It's all about that. And what I did is I was putting together this particular episode, and I did a ton of research on it over the years. And one of the things that I wanted to look at was what conspiracy theories really blew up after 08, 09. What were these things that started happening? Well, I started tracking them. They're all the big dogs. Flat Earth went nuclear in 2012. You had Tartaria. 2017 really took off. It's not that these theories didn't exist before that, because they did. I mean, even the Flat Earth community was popping in the 1970s. It's not saying that they created these, but what happened was these theories became hugely massive after this paper was written. So you got all these other aspects that started coming out. Mandela effect popped off in 2012, which Fiona Broom, if you track her, and she's the one that coined that term, she has ties to the government. So that's even crazier to think about, that when she came out with this theory of the Mandela effect, she talks about in her first meeting, She is in a room with a bunch of people that are there to listen to her talk about paranormal stuff. She's a paranormal writer, by the way, so she's been hunting ghosts and everything for the better part of 50 years. So she goes there to talk to people. She throws it out there that, oh, I thought Nelson Mandela was already dead. All these other people in the room, oh, he is. Oh, man, what happened? The timeline changed. Before you know it, then she comes out with this term, the Mandela effect. So then the Mandela effect picks up steam. And then people start remembering things that they said happened. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't. I'm not here to argue the point of the Mandela effect, even though I'm very skeptical of the Mandela effect in some ways, because one of the big parts of the Mandela effect is the Bible being changed, that CERN and the demonic entities are changing the Bible. So now you've made the Bible untrustworthy to even Christians now. So, I mean, you've got some big talking heads that are writing books about this, about the Bible being changed, and they're quote unquote
I had one of them on the show. Yeah.
So at the end of the day, you have to question, what's the source? Whenever I do research, I go deep and I try to find out, who are the sources? Where did this start? Who are the people? Do you know that Fiona Broome, she tracked her lineage back to the Knights Templar from the Crusades? So we have to ask these questions.
Talk about generational curses, baby. Yeah.
What are we really doing as a conspiratorial community if we're literally never believing anything, everything's fake? Well, we're never going to get anywhere, one, and that's what they want. This goes back to this Cass Sunstein effect. They want us constantly living in fear, living in paranoia to the point that we don't know anything anymore, and we don't even trust God. Listen, with the Mandela effect, we don't even trust the Bible anymore as Christians. I mean, that's insane to me. I'm going to be honest with you. I have done some massive research on it, and I got a ton of backlash on that episode, and I don't care, because at the end of the day, I'm going to stand up for what's right. And if we're going to sit here and act like some of these things are going on, what are we doing? Hey, you might as well jump off a cliff. We're living in some Gnostic realm of the Matrix, which that's a whole nother rabbit hole of the Gnostics and how Gnosticism's interwoven within our government right now. They all want us to not have trust and faith in God at the end of the day. Because when you have that, Trebles, you don't fear anything anymore. None of this stuff matters. When this stuff's going on, you're just like, man, I don't care. Man, listen, you know what's so refreshing for me was all this crazy stuff going on over in Israel right now, and I didn't care. I was so happy to not care. And I'm not saying I didn't care in the sense of I don't care about people, or I don't care about my family. It's not that I'm not aware of what's going on, but what I do know is with Christ, with God, I am in his will. So no matter what happens, man, at the end of the day, I'm going to be okay. And I think that's what I'm trying so hard to push into this community. And I get it, man. I get a ton of heat and a ton of backlash for people for coming with this positive attitude in this space, because people love the negativity. It's so funny. I'll listen to people on the right scream at the woke left for being so negative. I'm like, dude, you were just talking about the most crazy stuff a minute ago, and you talked about the world was ending. Like, you're just as bad. Like, we have to realize that as people, we can only control one thing: our relationship with God and who we are. When we get that, when we move forward with it doesn't mean we're not going to make mistakes. We're human. Doesn't mean that we're not going to fall on our faces, because we are human. But at the end of the day, we're going to keep pressing forward, and we're just going to slowly shed these layers of fear that these entities are trying to throw at us every day. And when we get to that point, man, you really just, you don't care about the evil that's going on around you in the way that you did, right? We're going to be careful and take care of our families and take care of our friends and take care of the people around us. But we're also looking for reasons to help people. We're also looking for reasons to grow. We're looking to have fun too, man. Shoot, you know how many people in the conspiratorial community just throw fun out of the window and act like, oh, you can't do nothing.
Oh, God. I have to be honest with you. 3 things. I know people that are so dark in the conspiracy world and so deep into it that they become black pills. You, my friend, are the first white pill I've ever had on the show today. And it's very, very refreshing, because now I think I know where I know where my niche is too. Like I've decided with all this information, like, what about hope? Why do we always have to be hopeless? Like, why does everything end? Like, no, like, come on, rejoice. We can't have that. Like, what the heck? Yeah, bro. The empty void and misery needs to be filled with something dark and more people dark. And it's just the type of energy you attract. You could be a conspiracy theorist, but you could also be spiritual. And people always try to divide those things. If you're like a conspiracy theorist, bro, you're looking at it as like, yo, I saw it as a conspiracy. I saw Titanic. I saw chemtrails. I seen Aleister Crowley. Oh, wait, he's very spiritual. What the heck? And then I turned it around, and went to the Bible. And then I met Jesus. Now I'm like, holy snap, dude. All of the freaking conspiracy theories are already here. They're right here, bro. It's amazing. It's amazing that you guys. It's amazing to see how people fight their own turmoil, their own demons, their own egos, and try to like, oh, but like I have this speaker on and I'm better. And today, even what happened on Saturday, the bombings, right? I was aware of the bombings. I just didn't engage on social media. Again, remember, full loop right before we end. Full loop. Social media is now the mainstream. I've always said, I told you that before we recorded. And then people were messaging in the chat rooms and messaging me straight, like directly. What do you have to say about this? My best friend calls me. I think this, you see, you're over here sucking Orange Man's penis. And I was like, wait. I spent some time. I played PS5. I ate chicken wings. I disengaged from social media. And I was like, you know how refreshing it was to have all this drama outside and not keep up with it and just conserve myself where my 2 feet lay and enjoy some of the, the hard work of my labor and just chill with God a little bit. Bro, it's humanizing. It centers you, bro. Believe it or not. Yo, free the rabbits, bro. Yeah, that's going to be a hashtag. That's going to be a thing. Let them know one more time where they can find you, bro.
Yeah, you can find me at Linktree/Joel Thomas Media, and that'll get you to literally everywhere. I'm a musician. I have music coming out all the time. I've been doing that for a better part of 20 years. But I would say in the past 4 years, music definitely changed in the presentation that I was giving it, especially when I found my way back to God, and obviously the way that I was looking at the world around me, right? It started to change, and I think definitely for the positive. I also make films. You can find those at merkelfilms.com. We have a brand new film coming out July 27th, and it's going to be really good. We worked with another team who studies this particular area. We actually had to sign NDAs before we even went out there, so I can't even talk about where we're at. You just get to see it, so it's going to be really cool. And the podcast, you can find it on any platform. YouTube, you can find me on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Rumble, any place that you listen or watch podcasts. You can find Free the Rabbits. Just type in Free the Rabbits. But again, if you go to Linktree/Joel Thomas Media, you can get to everything there, all the things that I do. And yeah, that's where you can find me.
Yo, it was an amazing and humbling pleasure to have you on the show, bro. I'm glad that we linked up. This episode is good. I mean, look, bro, we've had people talking about leaving religions and leaving cultic stuff. We've had people about serial killers. We've had documentary episodes of people that talk about being deep into the sex life and porn and then coming out and being full-on Christians. It's very, very important to testify and tell people your roots and how you're doing better, how you're a better person on a day-to-day out of very basic and keeping it very simple. In fact, the beginning of every show in the theme song, you start with Kiss. Keep it simple, stupid. That's all it stands for. And this is what it means. You're keeping it simple, off the cuff. You don't have to have an agenda. So I want to thank you again from the bottom of my heart. Make sure, ladies and gentlemen, to check out Free the Rabbits podcast, Merkel Media, all those dudes out there kicking butt. Make sure you check them out. Ladies and gentlemen, please like, subscribe, and freaking share. The button's right here. I don't know how to do all that YouTube stuff, guys. I'm not a visual guy. You can tell, guys. Come on. Anyway, still, check us out on YouTube. Check us out on all the other stuff. Check us out at ParanoiRadio.com and drop a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. That allows other people to enjoy the show as much as I enjoy making it. Peace.